Hi dear students, I wanted to help you with giving you a guideline for accessing the information for your last media analysis project. And so I thought I'd just give you a quick run through. I'm sure most of you know by now what is expected, but I will try one more time since we have only less than 2 weeks to go in the class, and this is due next week. So once you get onto the home page on Canvas for our class, you can come down to modules and click there. Almost every module that we've had up this summer has an access to your media effects project. So this is module 2, but you can find it in any module except I think for the first one. So you would click on this media effects project. Once you have accessed the information on the assignment, you will see that it tells you everything you need to know on that you are the instructor, the format that I want, the steps that you need to take. So you need to select one of the mediums that we've talked about this summer: books, newspapers, magazines, music, movies, radio, internet and social media, or electronic games, television. Pick any one that you would really like to learn more about, and that's what you're going to dive into. And then decide how you will present your project. You decide a PowerPoint, a video, you can do your own commercial, an infographic, or maybe a podcast episode. Sort of like, if you are into podcasts, try it out and see how you could educate other people through your own interpretation of the material. So these are the items on number 3 that you have to include in your presentation. It's an intro, pros and cons of the medium, how it makes money. So remember that if you pick something like music, I don't want to know about the history of music, that it's been around since day one of the creation of the world. I want to know how it is in effect to mass media. How is it mass media? And anything that is mass media or mass communications has to make money and go for a profit. So you can start with when music really started doing that. And I believe really it was around the 40s when we started getting record labels and the radio. So think about it from that aspect. I don't need a history of music when it first started way back in the Stone Ages. Okay, so those are the items that you have to include. Make sure that you get to sources. I want to know which sources you have used. You have to have, I would say, at least 3 sources for your project. Coming down, there's a due date. I did change it to Thursday, July 30th by midnight. And here's the length: PowerPoint or infographic, no more than 15 slides, video 6 to 10 minutes, podcasts between 8 and 10 minutes. And the grading, this is your biggest project of the summer. It's 100 points, so make sure that you do your best work. There are a couple of technical alerts here at the bottom, and it's you have to make sure that the video or the audio that you upload, if you go that route, that file is not too large to upload to Canvas, first of all. Please practice with it or put it on YouTube and then transfer it over, because I've had students that have panicked in the end because they haven't been able to upload correctly. Okay. Also be careful of copyright parameters. Don't use pictures. You can use Unsplash, for example, that are free to use. The same goes for anything with music and all of that. Make sure that you have permission or that you can see that copyright is okay. The other thing, the last thing, is do not use the Canvas app on your phone to upload your project. It usually does not work, and that's where, again, some of my students have learned the hard way. If you keep scrolling down on this page, you will see that this is called a rubric. It's a grading rubric, and this is how I grade your projects. So this is what I want. Intro and history in part 1, it's worth 20 points maximum. Pros and cons of the medium, how they make money, making a profit. The media effects theory that you want to explain in relation to your chosen medium. And then the conclusion. So Conclusion and mechanics. Mechanics also includes grammar and punctuation. This is a college course, so you want to put up your best work possible. But the conclusion also has, what's in the future for this medium? Let's, think about it critically. After all the material you've researched, what does it look like for your medium in the future? Where are we going to go with movies or television like Netflix and all of that? Think about it and then give us what your insight is. Okay, so if you go back to the very top of the project explanation, the prompt, you can also see there are resources to get started. And I have given you links for infographics, how to start a podcast, how to create a voiceover for your PowerPoint. So I will show you a couple of examples here from other students. You can download as many as you want to take a look. I will bring up a couple so I can show you what they've done. Okay, this was from one of my students last spring, and she did her infographic. This is an infographic on music. So unfortunately my screen won't capture everything, but you can download it and look at it because she did an excellent job and starts up with quotes. And this is her entry page, and then she goes on to do this. But take a look at everything she has. Here's a great timeline, and that's what you need to do too. You have to give us a history. A timeline is a good way to do that. The good, the bad, and the ugly here of the pros and cons of the industry, music and society, music and violence, music and sex. We've covered all those in your weekly modules. And here she used the uses and gratification theory and also the direct effect model as a theory. This student did a PowerPoint of video games, electronic games, and I can't get the audio to work on this, but you can when you pull it up. So the difference between an infographic and a PowerPoint, you can see the PowerPoints usually are bullet points, if you can see that, right? So you can see that these are all bullet points. He covered everything that he needed to. Here was the cons. The bullet points are all you need, but you have to have a voiceover with the PowerPoint. So he's explaining in detail each of these points, which he did a great job. Okay, so that's another thing for you to consider. When you have all your material ready to go and you've done all your research and you've put it all together beautifully, then you would hit at the top of your page a submit assignment right here. And it will take you to the page where you have to submit your work. Once you hit the submit assignment button, it will take you to these areas where you have tabs on how you're going to submit your work. Okay, so for this project you can do a file upload, a text entry, or a website if you have like a link to YouTube, or media. Okay, so then you choose your file and then you upload it from there. I hope that helps clarify some of the stipulations and specifications for this project. And if you have any questions, you can email me through the inbox in Canvas and we can tackle it. This project will be due in a little over a week, next Thursday, July 30th. So please know that I do not accept late work, especially that last week of school. So make sure you can get as much done as you can this week and over the weekend. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your projects.